Hi, this is Miss Park. This is going to be our first introduction to Google Sheets. You may have used Google Sheets before in other courses. I'm going to assume that you have never used Google Sheets, so we're going to start right at the beginning. And hopefully you'll find it's a great tool. We're going to use it a lot in our class. We're going to avoid some of the pencil and paper, tasks that are kind of technical and messy. We're going to try to do a lot on Google Sheets. It's so powerful and it does a lot of things for us, including drawing graphs and analyzing data, those kinds of things. So we're going to get used to using it, but as a very, very early introduction, we're just going to do a little bit of art. Okay. So first of all, just to walk you through what it looks like. So you see it's a spreadsheet. It's got rows and columns. So here I'm going to put my cursor on row 1. So this is row 1. I've highlighted row 1, row 2. You can see you can highlight the entire row, right? And so you've got row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way down. So rows go horizontally, they go across. Now across the top, we have columns. So this is column A, this is column B, C, and D. So columns are vertical, okay? They go up and down. And if I highlight one of these boxes here, that is called a cell. And a cell is where a row and a column meet. So this cell is called B4 because it's column B, row 4, and this cell is C4, and this cell is D5. Okay, so we're going to be using those cells. We can do things like we can highlight a cell. I can hold my finger down and kind of drag, and so highlight a whole bunch of cells. And if I want to do something, so we will be doing things like this. I can de-highlight it by clicking somewhere else. I can highlight a bunch of rows. So I can highlight a bunch of rows at a time. Same thing, I can highlight a bunch of columns at a time. So let's say I want to start here. I can highlight a bunch of columns at a time. Oh, I just moved it. Maybe I have to start here. No, doesn't want to do it. Okay, anyway, I'm just gonna keep moving because you can highlight a bunch of columns at a time. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to draw pixel art. Okay, so pixel art is coloring in squares so that when you put it all together, it looks like a picture. So for example, I went into Google search and I looked up pixel art and I looked at images. So these are images that are made from a bunch of little squares. Okay, so you choose whatever you want. So you're going to be making some pixel art. So you just, scroll through and find something school appropriate, of course, but try not to get too complicated and detailed because it could take a long time. So just choose something simple like the star or, some, fruit or whatever, something kind of simple. And we're going to be working with that. So let's go back to my sheet. So how do you get to Google Sheets, first of all? From your Google Drive. So you go into Google Drive, you click on these 9 dots over here, and you just find Google Sheets here. You click on it, and it'll open for you a new spreadsheet. Okay, so some things to note. If you want this to look like the pixel art had tiny little squares, and these are really big rectangles, so it's not going to look so nice. So what we'll do is we're going to make them all little squares. So the way we do it is over here at the top left, there is a cell that when you click on it, it highlights all of the cells. So this one in the top left highlights every cell, regardless of column or row. So remember how we could highlight a bunch of rows or a bunch of columns? This one highlights everything, okay? And what we can do is in between these columns, we have these vertical lines, and when you hover over them, they turn into an arrow. And so that changes the width of the column. So let's say I'm going to, let's click out of it. If I want to just make column A wider, I could just drag column A like this. Okay, but if I'm going to, if I want to do that for all of them, turning the big rectangles into little squares, I'll click on this, which selects everything. And now when I make column A skinny, that looks kind of like a square, what it's going to do is it's going to make all of them the same width. So whatever is highlighted, it's going to apply to all of the things that are highlighted. Okay. And now I'm going to add a little bit more on the right to fill in more squares. So I'm going to put my cursor on this last column. and right click. And as you can see, it labeled my columns from A to Z, but I think I'd like some more columns. So I'm going to click insert 26 to the right. It's 26 because from A to Z is 26. And now it gave me another A to Z. So it's A, B, A, C, and so on up to AZ. So now at least I have a nice big canvas to work with. Okay, so when we do the pixel art, okay, we're gonna need to be working with these cells and we're gonna fill them in with color. So we're gonna get used to all these things that are up here on top, but right now for the art, we're gonna choose fill color. When you click on this, it's a paint can and it's gonna spill color into that cell. So you can select whatever color you want from here. Okay, so let's say I want to make it this shade of yellow. All right, now if I want to make a whole line of yellows, then look at this blue square at the bottom of the cell. When you hover over it, the cursor becomes a plus. And you can hold your finger down and drag it, and now you have a whole line of yellow. Okay, you don't have to have, you don't have to click on individual ones and fill individual ones. The other thing you can do is you can copy a cell. So let's say I like this yellow and I want to put a yellow somewhere else. So I'm going to click on it and then Control C. So Control C does a copy and I can put that somewhere else. So Control V. Control V does a paste and puts it somewhere else. And if I want, I can click on this little blue square and I can drag it. All right, like that. And if I realize I've made a mistake, oh, I didn't want to do that, that's too long, then Control Z is undo. So I just did undo and I'm just going to drag it this long. Excuse me. Okay, so those are the things. Now, suppose you don't like this shade of yellow and you want a different shade of yellow. So I'm going to color this. I'm going to go back to the paint can. And I don't like any of these colors, so I want something different. So then I go to Custom. And now you have the whole color palette. You have everything. You can drag and you can see all kinds of colors here and you can select any shade that you want. So here's the yellows. Maybe I want a yellow that's a little bit darker or maybe a yellow that's closer to the gray. Maybe I'll pick something here. That looks a little dark. I'm going to go over here. Okay. And then hit OK. And that becomes a new color that you can use. All right. So really you can choose from any colors you want. Hold on, I'm going to paste in the instructions here for you. Nope, that's the wrong one. Okay, I'm going to insert and I'm going to do image and I'm going to give you the instructions. So select image over cell. So this is going to put a picture over the spreadsheet, and the picture I'm going to put is the instructions for the Control C, Control V, which I have saved for you here. And it's going to insert that image. Okay, so here are some instructions for you. All right, so now let's make some art. All right, so I'm going to save this. Okay, and let's make some art. Down at the bottom, if you look at the bottom, this whole spreadsheet is called Intro Pixel Art. But I've created a second sheet. So in the same file called Google Sheets Pixel Art, I have several spreadsheets. And this plus sign allows you to create new ones. So I've just been working on the first one. Let me go to the second one. Okay, so I'm going to go to the second one. And the second one is where I've chosen the pixel art that I want to try to duplicate. Okay, and the way I did it is exactly the way I put in your instructions. I went to pixel art in Google search. I saved the image to my computer. And then back in here, I said insert, image, and image over cells. So that puts the picture right on top of everything. And then I selected that from my computer and it put it right into my spreadsheet. Okay, so now I'm going to try to duplicate this picture. So pick a cell to start with. I'll start here. Okay, and I can see, let's say I want this light green square. I want to do that first, so I'm going to take my paint can and I'm going to find a light green, maybe this one, close enough. And remember, if I don't like that color, I can always go to custom and create different shades. And I can see that this green one is is repeated over here, right there. It's also repeated over here, and actually here there are 6 of them in a column. So instead of going Control C, Control V, Control C, Control V, like continuing to copy and paste, I can just drag this blue square for 6 boxes, and now I have this light green, right? And now I'll do the same thing with the dark green. So I'm not going to do the whole picture, I'm just going to show you. Okay, so this one I want it to be dark green. I'm going to click on it, Control C to copy. Where do I want it? Click on there, Control V, and then again where I want it here, Control V, and this one can drag for 6. Okay, and that's the beginning of my watermelon. Okay, and that's how you do it. I'm going to go to the third sheet that I created for you just because I've already kind of done this watermelon. I wanted to do it ahead of time. So here's my watermelon. It looks good. It looks a little bit wide. I think my squares are still kind of rectangular, so I'm just going to highlight the entire sheet and just make them a little bit more square-ish, maybe like this. Okay, I think that looks better. And I noticed that I haven't done the black seeds. So there's a black seed right here. So I'm going to click on that square. I made them all red because there was so much red, it was easy to just drag and make everything red. And now I'm going to put the black seeds on top. All right, so you can find ways to, save time by filling in parts that are repeated. But you have to kind of count the squares and see that you're filling in the right ones. Okay, and then I see there's another one here with the black seed. So I'm clicking on there, selecting the black, and I think I'm done. Okay, and there's my pixel art. So you try it, okay? So you choose any picture that you like. Keep it kind of simple so it doesn't take forever to do. And just play around and, try to get comfortable with the Google Sheets. And I'm going to give you this so that I'm going to put this in Google Classroom so that you can come back to it. And of course, you can always watch the video as many times as you want. And here are the instructions for how to copy and paste. And that's it. Okay, so good luck and thanks for watching.